Let me start off by saying this year has been an absolute game changer for me. I built routines and habits that didn't just improve my productivity, but they've transformed how I feel, how I show up for myself, and what I've achieved. Today, I wanted to share some habits, routines, and rituals that I've been using throughout this year that have leveled up my life in ways that I didn't think were possible. And this is gonna sound so cliche, but stick around. You're definitely gonna wanna hear the last habit. I personally haven't heard anyone mention this one before, but I think it's really, really important for getting the most out of yourself. Before we get too far into it, I just wanted to thank Squarespace for sponsoring today's video.
Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or you're managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create beautiful websites, engage with your audience, and sell anything. They have Fluid Engine, which is a next-generation website design system to unlock your creativity. You can start with these incredible website templates and customize every single detail. You can use their built-in analytics and insights to grow your business, set up an online store to sell your products, whether they're physical, digital, or service, and accept appointments on your Squarespace website. But don't just take my word for it. Jump in, start a free trial, see how it feels for you, and when you're ready to hit publish, you can use the URL which I had on the screen or I have down in the description box for a discount off your first purchase.
I've managed to do quite a few things this year, even though I told myself this year would be more of a year of like peace, rest, giving myself space. I still managed to achieve a lot in that time. I've seen a crazy difference in terms of my body composition from January to now. I wanted to get more consistent with my Instagram, and in doing so, my page went from 155,000 to over 760,000 within about a 6-month period. I optimized my workflow so that I'm more efficient with my client work, and I managed to make more space and breathing room within my business so that I can have more rest and more downtime without having a monetary impact on my business. Now, it's often said you are what you repeatedly do, and that cannot be more true for when it comes to habits and routines. The small, seemingly insignificant choices that you make really do compound over time, shaping not only your results, but also your identity. These small actions create momentum, and momentum creates confidence. And with each positive choice, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of change. And that mindset alone can transform what you believe is possible for yourself. It's not about overhauling your entire life overnight. It's about making small, incremental changes. First, I want to start off with what I did in December 2023, setting myself up for success for 2024. Some of you might remember that I have my Phoenix Formula Notion template. I'll leave it linked in the description box. What I do is I create a new one of these every 3 months. So I created one in December 2023, and I also included a little board on it that broke my year down into quarters. Breaking your year down into quarters is going to help you set more manageable targets without feeling overwhelmed like, oh my goodness, there's a whole 12 months ahead of me. It's a really common method used in business, but it works really well for personal development as well. Quarterly planning is going to provide you with natural checkpoints throughout the year. So not only are we keeping tighter timelines for goals, but it also gives you room to adjust. Like if something's not sitting well with you, or if you need to change your strategy for something, or if a goal just doesn't align with the direction that you want to go in anymore, it's like, okay, cool. Like I have that checkpoint coming up and I can adjust things. I'm not locked into this. The next thing which really changed not only my productivity but also my confidence was getting dressed and getting ready every single day. It's so easy to want to stay in your pajamas when you're working from home and just want to be like all cozy and comfy and not get ready for the day. But getting fully dressed really does signal to your brain that it's time to shift into a different operating mode. Psychologists actually have a term for this, and it's called enclothed cognition. It's the idea that what you wear impacts how you think and how you behave. Studies even show that wearing work-appropriate clothing and or footwear can boost your productivity. And I noticed that on days where I stayed in my pajamas to start getting my work done, I felt a lot more sluggish, I felt a lot slower. I didn't feel like I was making the most out of the day, you know? And I really enjoy, like even as a method just to prompt myself to get out of bed in the morning, I love the idea of like, oh, you get to get up and do your hair and do your makeup and put on an outfit that you really, really like. And I don't think anyone has to go to that full extent unless it's a process that you really enjoy. Like it could be a simplified version, like getting up and making sure that you're doing your skincare, brushing your hair, and just putting on a comfortable outfit that you feel good in. Something that makes you feel put together and ready to tackle your day. I'm bad at this. I had to start doing it, was booking in rest. Rest is productive, and I think it's easy to fall into that mindset that it's separate from work. But if you think about it in the same capacity as training, like when we're training hard in the gym, we need the rest and we need the recovery for the actual growth and repair to happen. Same thing goes with our mind. We can't always be going. We can't always be trying to do something. Whether it's scheduling yourself in like a reset day Sunday, or maybe it's just like a couple of hours break, or maybe it's 45 minutes every evening, like some kind of time for you to recoup and reset. I think it's really, really important to give yourself permission to have rest without guilt. And that's something that I struggled with for a long time. I would try to have rest, and it's like, how can I make this rest more productive? I'm going to do laundry. I'm going to clean the house. So to actually make myself do this, I had to start blocking out the rest in my calendar, just like I would with any other appointment. This allows me to work more often from a place of energy rather than pushing through and working from a place of like mental fatigue and exhaustion. This one might sound a little bit left field. I feel like the order that I'm putting these in doesn't really make sense, but I started incorporating more cardio. Previously, the type of cardio I had been doing for years, like obviously I've been doing the weightlifting, and then I had been getting my steps every day, and I tend to walk a fair amount of steps. And so in my mind, I was like, cool, I'm doing lots of low intensity cardio. But then what I started doing in the end of 2023, combined with my weight training, is I started pulling in more moderate intensity cardio sessions. So for me, I like to do these either on the bike or on the rowing machine. That's just what I find the most enjoyable. But it has been so good for my mood to pull these in more regularly. And then on top of that as well, it's made it so much easier to maintain my body composition without having to be aggressive with the calories or anything like that. So the way that I started doing this was 2 30-minute moderate intensity sessions each week. Moderate intensity for me means heart rate between about 110 beats per minute and 130 beats per minute. At the moment, I'm doing 2 hours of cardio per week, broken up into blocks across the week. Another thing I started doing as I noticed my schedule was getting more and more busy, working between so many different projects and having to have my mind swap between different types of work tasks would always slow me down. I can't work on every single thing every day. I have to break it up, and I found a really good strategy for doing that is having a week A and a week B rotation. The strategy really, really helps me avoid multitasking and just deeply focus on one specific type of work. Week A would be really client work heavy for my nutrition training and mindset coaching clients. So that would mean client calls, check-ins, messages, and doing all the programming for their training and nutrition programs. Whereas week B is more of like creative work, branding work, admin work, that sort of thing. And while I do have to do a little bit of client work, like the client messages and the check-ins, I don't have calls scheduled on that week, and I try to get all the programming done on a week A rather than on a week B. So then on a week B, I'll do more filming, making more Instagram content, and working on some of the other projects that I'm working on. This separation really, really helps me prevent from feeling stretched too thin. So if you're someone who's just starting a business and working a full-time job, or maybe you've had another business on the side for a while and you need to split your time between work and your side hustle, you could set aside like week A for catching up on all the life admin stuff and week B for working on the side hustle things. Next, this is one of my favorite ones. It gives me that little dopamine boost. And it is setting timers to stay focused. Because I've been doing my coaching work for a really long time now, I know roughly how long things should take me. So using timers helps me stay on track while I'm working. For instance, if I need to write a training program for someone, I'm gonna set a timer for 25 minutes and focus when I'm doing that work. And then when I'm ready to move on, I'll set a new timer for the new task that I'm doing. This helps keep my mind engaged without feeling overworked. It means I'm less likely to lean into distractions. Like I'm less likely to pick up my phone and start scrolling through Instagram because I can see that timer ticking away in front of me. And for my desktop, I use Smart Countdown Timer app to do this. Next is my anti-procrastination timer for doing tasks that I don't really want to do. Whether it's like decluttering the laundry cupboard, or it's at the end of the day and I have to do a bit of cleaning, but I kind of don't feel like it, I'll set a timer. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes, whatever I feel like I can do that day. But I find that when I do set that timer and I get started, it is easy to keep going. I'm pretty sure it's called the Zeigarnik effect in behavioral psychology. My pronunciation is probably way off there. But basically what it is starting a task can create the mental urge to finish it. And again, that sense of urgency of racing the countdown timer, I find that to be really, really helpful. If you've been watching my videos for a long time, you know that I've done meal prep for a long time. But something I started leaning into a lot this year was also doing ingredient prep. Yes, I still do some meal prep, whether it's like my chicken curry meal or maybe like overnight oats, things like that. Like I'll still make some full meals. I always want to have some meals in the fridge and in the freezer, but I've really been leaning into ingredient prep, especially because my macros change depending on whether it's like a training day or a rest day. So sometimes I need bigger or smaller portions. Number 9 is always starting my day by selecting my MITs, or my most important tasks. The way my to-do list works is it's broken up into categories and they pull from different places on my Notion. And I usually can't get through my entire to-do list for the day. So what I do is I go through each category and I mark my 3 MITs from each category. So the most important things, the needle movers that have to get done to make sure that we are progressing. That way I can make sure I get those tasks done first. If I don't have a work block scheduled for something, I'll move the task to an appropriate day. And then any additional tasks that I get done through the day that aren't a MIT, but I still get done, I still get like a sense of achievement from that, because I'm like, okay, cool, like this was an optional thing, but I got it done anyway. And I think being able to differentiate your tasks like that, especially if you have like a big overwhelming to-do list, having a list of priority tasks, once you get them done, that's such a good sense of achievement rather than feeling like you're constantly running behind and you always have things left to do. Now, this is my last one. This is the one that I wanted to talk to you about, and it is setting aside some time every couple of months or every couple of weeks, whatever works for you, to do energy mapping. That sounds way more woo-woo than it is. But basically you wanna understand throughout the day, when is your energy at its peak and when is it dipped? And keep in mind that this could be different between summer and winter if the temperature and the light and everything varies a lot where you live. That's why it's important to check back on this a couple of times through the year. We wanna align your more difficult tasks or your more focused parts of the day with when you are the most mentally alert, when you have the most amount of focus, so that you have the least amount of resistance to actually getting things done or being productive. The reason I like to do this is because it minimizes mental fatigue. So for me personally, I work really well in the mornings. Like that's just when my brain is just, I can get into such a good flow state. I can write really well. I can think really clearly, and I can make decisions really quickly with what I'm doing. Whereas the tasks that are a little bit easier for me, I'm fine with doing them in the afternoon because I don't need to be super, super sharp and super, super focused. So the way that I would recommend doing this is either setting up a wall calendar or starting a note in your phone or downloading a tracking app, whatever feels best for you. And what we're going to do is set 4 alarms throughout the day to check in. And you might just want to do this for one day, or how I like to do it is do it for a week, because a week is going to give you a little bit of a better overview, because obviously in there you're going to have some days off, you're going to have some high stress days, you might have some more relaxing days. And so that way we can get a decent gauge over the week. And what we're going to do is pick those 4 times that align with your schedule. And then what I'm going to do at those 4 points in time through the day is mark my energy levels out of 10. 10 being like, I am ready to go, like I have so much energy, and then obviously 0 being like, I am a potato right now. And I know this might sound weird, but when I have my highest energy, it's actually when I want to do my work. And you'd think, don't you want to do your training when you have your highest energy? And I find for me, no, because I eat well and I exercise, my physical energy is pretty good a lot of the time. Where I struggle is with my mental energy. I have a very small social battery, it runs out very quickly. And then on top of that, like having the ASD and dealing with like sensory overload and overwhelm and all of that sort of thing really can be a drain on my mental energy some days. So for me, when I was tracking this out, I was really leaning into my mental energy and what's that feeling like. So tracking it for a week is going to give you a pretty good look at the numbers, and you can see, okay, when do I function best and when am I not functioning very well? Depending on the kind of job you have, like you might not be able to shuffle your tasks around, but if you can, try and pull anything that is focus intensive or requires a lot of decision making to those times where you have the most energy, and you'll find that your output increases a lot without feeling like you're doing tons of extra work, because you're really taking advantage of when you're feeling like you're operating at your best. Hopefully some of these are helpful for you or give you some inspiration, but they definitely made a big impact on my year. So I wanted to share them in case you wanted some inspiration for routines and habits and ways to really get the most out of your year next year without feeling like you're dragging yourself through the process. If you made it all the way to here, thank you so much for watching all the way through. I appreciate you so much, and I will catch you in my next video.